Hey everybody, sorry about that. I think Facebook must have done an update because I couldn't go live and had to grab my cell phone. So it's Sharing Wellness, Promoting Health Wednesday, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about the therapeutic uses of trace minerals. So less than 200 years ago, only major nutrients like fats, protein, carbs, and a few major minerals like iron and calcium were understood to be needed by our bodies and were very a necessary part of nutrition. But about 100 years ago, they discovered vitamins, and the importance of trace minerals was discovered in the latter half of the previous century. And research is continually ongoing on trace minerals, and there's a lot of information that's still unknown. So the reason they're called trace minerals, you guessed it, is one of the requirements is they're needed in small amounts. They're also measured in milligrams or micrograms. So there's 1,000 micrograms in 1 milligram, and there's 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram, 28 grams in an ounce. So the average capsule of herbs is about 500 milligrams. So it's really important that you get trace minerals in your body, and one of a good herbal source of trace minerals is alfalfa, because alfalfa goes really, really deep into the earth, and it draws up minerals from other plants, like 40 feet deep. It's a rich source of trace minerals, and it's a really good supplement for minerals. There's also seaweeds like kelp and elgin and dulse are seaweeds, and they're grown in ocean water, and they're rich in trace minerals. A lot of people have like powdered kelp or other seaweeds, and they sprinkle it on their food, or they add it to their soup to get trace minerals. There's a lot of other mineral-rich herbs like nettles and oat straw and horsetail, barley and wheatgrass powder. So those are your good sources of herbal minerals. There's also a lot of minerals in unrefined salt. They contain small amounts of trace minerals, and your salt should be colored, otherwise it probably doesn't have any trace minerals. And that would include like your Redmond, Celtic, Himalayan, Hawaiian salts. A lot of people put a little bit of salt in water and make like a salt drink, and then take a teaspoon a day in a full glass of water to get their minerals. There's also mineral water, from springs, typically rich in various minerals. The discovery of these springs in southern Utah led to the development of colloidal mineral products. The rancher learned back then that one of those springs from a Native American ranch hand. So a lot of people back then drank that spring water out in Utah, and it helped with some health problems. Later, the rancher sought out a geologist who determined that the spring came from a mineral-rich deposit which contained prehistoric plant material. It picked up varying amounts of about 60 different minerals, and then they developed a cold extraction, and you can purchase colloidal or ionic mineral supplements made from that water. Also, in traditional Chinese medicine, they have trace minerals that are very adaptogenic, with potassium, some fruit, schizandra fruit, reishi mushrooms, astragalus, ginkgo, and a lot of the Chinese mineral tonics are going to also be very adaptogenic and very mineral rich. So our soil has to have the minerals in it for the plants to absorb it. So alfalfa, and to a lesser degree red clover, can be grown on depleted soil and then tilled into the ground to enrich the land. Some people use a kelp emulsion as a foliar spray to give plants the minerals they need, and they also apply that to the soil. And plain colloidal minerals can also be applied as a foliar spray on your crops. And mineral-rich clays like Montmorillonite can also be added to the soil to make it more mineral-rich. So I'm just going to share with you a few trace minerals and their benefits. I don't even think I have any water with me. So boron is a trace mineral, and it affects the way the body handles other minerals such as calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. So boron is very necessary for bone development. It has some antioxidant effects, and it's best taken with other supplements for bone health such as calcium, magnesium, D3, and K2. Chromium is another mineral, and it's very essential for the regulation of blood sugar. Many people with diabetes, metabolic syndrome, or hypoglycemic have found chromium supplementation to be helpful. It is plentiful with whole foods, but people who eat a lot of refined foods are probably deficient in chromium. The RDA for chromium is about 35 micrograms and kind of low. So, like I said before, chromium is in many herbs and foods. Chromium picolinate appears to be one of the more easily absorbed forms. And chromium and niacin, vitamin B3, which is known as chromium GTF, is one of the best absorbed, and it's absorbed very efficiently. And it helps the body keep its blood sugar balanced and helps with food cravings. There's also copper, and copper is used by our body to keep our body tissues elastic and flexible. It helps our body utilize iron and hemoglobin formation. It's part of the pigmentation of our hair and skin. It's also used in energy metabolism, the development and repair of bone and connective tissue, the formation of myelin sheath, adrenal and thyroid hormone production, RNA production, and immunity. So copper is also used in our salivary glands to help tag nutrients for delivery to where they're needed. Some people with a copper deficiency may notice that they have some joint problems, osteoporosis, hardening of the arteries, loss of elasticity in blood vessels, loss of hair color, and reduced immune function. Signs of possible deficiency include spider or varicose veins, burning hands and feet, and graying of the hair. Excess copper can lead to irritability and aggression. And copper needs to be balanced with zinc, as they are antagonists for each other. Iodine's not a mineral, but it is a trace element, and it's abundant in foods from the ocean, and it's found in plants that grow near the ocean. So inland plants typically have little or no iodine, where the ones by the water tend to have a lot. Iodine deficiencies used to be really, really common in many inland areas, producing goiter, stunning growth, and even some special needs. Chlorine, fluoride, and bromine all displace iodine in the body and could increase your need for the nutrient. Besides being essential to the production of thyroid hormones, iodine is also important for breast, uterus, and prostate health, as well as adrenal and immune function. It's also balanced with selenium. It needs to be balanced with selenium with autoimmune thyroid issues, and taking seaweed supplements like kelp and dulse is a good way to improve both iodine and trace mineral supplements. There's also lithium, which is a naturally occurring trace mineral in water supplies of many places in the world. Where lithium tends to be high in the water, there's reductions in suicide, homicide, and drug use. Lithium used to be a component of 7-Up, and it was found to benefit bipolar disorder in the late 1800s and has been studied in depth since 1949. It also helps to reduce the inflammatory cascade at the root of depression, bipolar, and anxiety. Some researchers are pushing for an RDA of about 1 to 2 milligrams a day. Lithium orotate is available as a supplement, providing 5 milligrams of elemental lithium per 120 milligram capsule. And 1 dose a day is usually does it. Higher doses can cause you to be super thirsty, maybe some nausea and vomiting. and the first few days you take lithium, you can feel sluggish and sleepy. Manganese is another trace mineral, and it plays a role in carbohydrate metabolism, protein metabolism, connective tissue health, joint fluid production, and vitamin B1 utilization. If you're deficient in it, you may be nauseous, vomiting, dizziness, skin rash, hearing loss. Iron deficiency anemia usually goes along with a manganese deficiency. Maybe you have high blood sugar, low blood cholesterol, impaired bone growth, skeletal abnormalities, or excessive bone loss, weak hair, skin, and nails, loss of hair color, and hernias. So 2.3 milligrams for adult males. Good forms are aspartate and citrate. So manganese may be helpful in diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, epilepsy, osteoporosis, tinnitus and hearing loss, hernias, fertility and reproductive health. Red raspberry leaf is a great natural source of manganese, and you can drink that as a tea. It's usually supplemented as part of a good multivitamin or as part of a calcium magnesium supplement for bone health. Molybdenum is an important enzyme activator, and it's used for detoxification in the liver. Deficiency in it's really uncommon, and it's rarely used as a single supplement. It can be taken to enhance liver detoxification or to counterbalance copper toxicity. Selenium is another essential trace mineral that's toxic in large doses. It works as a cofactor in the reduction of antioxidant enzymes such as glutathione peroxidase. Research suggests that adequate levels help to protect the body against cancer, and people with autoimmune thyroid conditions like Hashimoto's may also be deficient in selenium. The RDA is 55 micrograms per day, but they say it's probable that a person may need up to 200 micrograms for optimal health. It's used therapeutically to boost your immune system, to balance thyroid function and autoimmune thyroid disease, help mitigate the development of rheumatoid arthritis, help with loss of hair color, whiten fingernail beds, reduce the risk of joint inflammation. It works super well with vitamin E, especially for balancing blood pressure and overall heart health. So silver, which isn't really an essential nutrient and there's no RDA on it, it does have beneficial effects, primarily in helping to prevent infections. Pioneers learned that they could actually keep their water from going bad by putting a few silver coins in the bottom of the water barrel. Nobility in ancient Europe were less prone to infection than the general population. They believe it was because they ate and drank using silverware. Royalty became known as blue blood because silver causes a condition characterized by a blue-gray discoloration of the skin and inflammation of the inner eyelids. Of course, the silver supplements that you get are produced a different way and don't usually cause that. Vanadium is another mineral which is needed for healthy bones and teeth. It lowers blood fats and inhibits cholesterol synthesis. It does play a role in blood sugar regulation and metabolic syndrome. Of course, excess can be toxic. Safe dose 1 to 2 milligrams a day. Zinc is also an essential trace mineral. It's helpful for the male reproductive function, regulating blood sugar, wound healing. It helps the body fight infections, particularly viral ones, which is why so many people took zinc. Even when I was in the hospital fighting the virus, they gave me vitamin D, C, zinc, and a multivitamin during my treatment there. Necessary for the senses of smell, taste, hearing, and vision. And if you're deficient in it, it can result in hair loss and graying of the hair. And it also helps balance the iron and copper levels, and it promotes calming neurotransmitters to be produced. So the RDA of zinc is about 55 micrograms per day, but it is probable that a person may need a lot more than that to maintain health. Specific health issues associated with zinc would be reproductive problems in men, treating and preventing and treating viral infections, and some nervous system issues like anxiety, OCD, and aggravation, graying of the hair, low stomach acid, and you can add some B1 to that. If your wounds are healing slowly, zinc and vitamin C may be beneficial. So I hope this whole kind of monthly thing on vitamins and minerals, water-soluble vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins, major minerals, and trace minerals kind of gives you a clue at the major role they play in our overall health, our immune health, our nervous system health, our reproductive health, our bone health, and how they are needed synergistically to work together. That's why I always, recommend a daily multivitamin and mineral supplement that has a lot of these trace and major minerals in. Then if you're focusing on a continual problem, you may want to target specific supplements and herbs. And you also want to make sure that you're drinking clean water, you're eating good food the way that God intended it to be eaten, and how it was made, not super processed and full of chemicals and sugar. So all those things are going to keep you exercise, sleep, managing stress as healthy as you can be. So thanks for joining me. Sorry about my voice. Wish I had some water. Have a great week, and I'll see you next month at Sharing Wellness Promoting Health Wednesday, where we're going to talk a little bit about circulation issues. Thanks, and have a great evening.